Watson that just kept hanging around. And as we told you, you go back towards the end of regulation. This was a 64-55 game with 3:27 on the clock. That's when Drew Steffi got that near-end shot clock buzzer to go in. At that point, you feel like you're really in a good spot, but Drake really turned the tables on Southern, like Southern turned the tables on Belmont. And that come from behind win for SIU. And, it's no surprise. It's been the longest locker room chat that the Salukis have had this year. But this one is really hard to take right now as a Saluki fan, as Coach Nagy making his way to us.
Yeah, I thought about the 6:14 mark when Southern got a steal and Mayo got a bucket to go up 10, and Drake showed a lot of fight.
Yeah, they did, and you got to give credit to Coach Henderson and his group, and we talked about that all week coming into this game as Drake really showed that on display. Hey, Coach Scott Nagy here joins us post-game. His comments are brought to you by Sam C. Mitchell and Associates. And, Coach, another overtime game tonight, and in these games that come down to the very end, there are so many areas where you can begin. Where do you begin for your team?
I mean, at some point you got to be able to shoot the basketball. And the amazing thing is, when we looked at this, the same thing was at Bradley. We shot the ball so poorly and we're still in the game. And so we go 3 for 20, 26 from 3?
Yeah.
And 16 for 24 from the free throw line. And we were in overtime. I mean, our kids are playing hard. At some point, you got to put the ball in the basket. So, I don't think there's a whole lot. This is not rocket science. And when I look at the stats there, our kid, we had 15 offensive rebounds. We're fighting. We took care of the ball. Your assists are down because nobody can make a shot.
Coach, can you live with House's decision with a minute to go in the game?
No, I would have preferred that he pulled that out. And I think back and I wonder if I should have called a timeout. He just so aggressive downhill. That would have been my preference. That he pulled that basketball out, but we never should have been in that situation.
Obviously, Coach, late in the game, Drew makes that baseline little floater right as the shot clock expired that puts you up 9. There's a 50% equation to this, too, and you have to tip your cap to Drake. What did you feel Drake did well in the closing minutes of the game to ultimately get the overtime and then able to win this one by 3 in OT?
They went to a hot player that made some tough shots. We go up 9 there and then come down, and within 3 seconds, they're shooting a layup and we foul them. And it just is our level of being able to concentrate. And I keep talking about this, just being able to deal when things go well and not lose your focus. And we just played Belmont in the same situation. We're down 9 with about that time left, and so yeah, there's a lot of guys are hurt, but I think there's some angry guys too. So we'll see how it plays out. I think you got to give these guys credit too. That they lose a game to Belmont up 25, and that's hard to do emotionally, but yet they bounce back, go on the road, and win a game.
Coach, at halftime you get the lead. You were up by 11 at the break, and then Drake kind of went on a little bit of a surge there in the second half, but it appeared that Rollins was a big part to get you guys ultimately to build that lead up to 17. His effort gets a double-double tonight, 11 points, 11 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing he did was even though we weren't making shots, he was chasing the ball off the glass really well.
There's so many things that you can dive more into it once you get into film, and obviously you'll have a short turnaround with Belmont this weekend, but the biggest things top of mind that stick with you, that outside those shooting woes that you talked about, that you think you're really going to stick with tonight when you go home, and then ultimately when you guys reconvene and get back in here tomorrow?
We talk about playing hard and playing smart. I think we played hard, but boy, we had a lot of situations where we didn't play smart. We had some bad fouls where you can't just be a crazy man and then just hand them 2 points. Those kind of things have to change for us in order. We can't. This is the Valley. These are close games, and when you need to do both, you got to do both. And this is what we're talking about: the effort and the execution. And so we had some opportunities to execute, and we didn't. And we told them in the huddle, like, like it's 1-1 now. You can't shove people in the back. You cannot have bad fouls right now. We don't want to hand them points. They're having a hard time scoring on us, and we just bad foul after bad foul.
Coach, you've been around this thing a long time, and you've experienced locker rooms like that are never easy and really tough to deal with. What are the biggest things that you really say to your team? Probably not much you can really say right now in the moment, but as you just gave credit to Coach Henderson, what his group did, they responded well to a very similar situation. Now, how you do?
You don't feel sorry for yourself. Like, we're just not going to stand for it, and we're not going to stand for moping or any of that stuff. And that starts with me. And we turn around and practice at 9 in the morning, and so we don't have time for anybody to be feeling sorry for themselves.
Coach, thanks for the time.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.